Minnesota Wild, unfulfilled. You love hockey more than your team does. You live in the state of hockey but have no banners to show for it. You've had Gaborik, Suter, and now Kaprizov, a walking highlight reel in a frozen market. You pack the XL no matter what. You believe every year, and every year ends in disappointment. But you still believe, because in Minnesota, hockey isn't a sport. It's an identity, even if it hurts. Utah Mammoth. Don't fully understand hockey yet. You just picked a team that doesn't even have a name yet, and you're already yelling icing at the wrong time. You thought the blue line was for parking and figured 5-hole was a golf term. But none of that matters, because you're in. You're watching tutorials, memorizing rules, and Googling, why do hockey players fight so much? Your group chats are full of hot takes, and you still call every penalty roughing. But you've got spirit, a brand new jersey, and enough chaos energy to make Utah hockey loud. You might not understand everything yet. Montreal Canadians, passionate. You're not just a fan, you're part of a religion. Montreal doesn't cheer, it chants. You wear the CH like it's a coat of arms. You speak in Stanley Cups, 24 of them. But that history comes with pressure. Every 5-game losing streak, it's a national crisis. Every draft pick, a referendum on the GM's soul. And still, you show up. Even if the team is rebuilding for the 17th time in 10 years. You'll never say rebuilding, it's reloading. Because deep down, you believe. You always believe, even when you're booing your own power play. Ottawa Senators, hopeful. You're the youngest sibling in a family of legends. You've got passion, potential, and no rings to show for it. You were inches away in 2007, then fell into a decade-long pit of budget cuts and sadness. But now, there's a spark again. Brady, Tim, a young core that gives you real hope, and you're holding on to it like it's the last Timbit in the box. You believe your time is coming, and if the Leafs get bounced again, you're coming for the crown, just to be petty. Winnipeg Jets, die hard. You lost your team once, never again. Winnipeg is cold, loud, and obsessed. You pack Canada Life Center like it's a family reunion. And the whiteout? It's a blizzard of chaos. You're isolated, underrated, and still talk about Big Buff like he's coming back. Your team has talent, heart, and just enough inconsistency to drive you insane. But you don't bail. You never do. Because being a Jets fan means surviving the cold, the doubt, and the heartbreak, and still standing tall, screaming, "Go Jets, go." Pittsburgh Penguins, spoiled. You went from Mario to Sid to Gino. 3 cups since 2009. And yet, somehow, you still feel underappreciated. You act like you discovered hockey in 2005 and perfected it by 2009. You still talk about the shift like it was a religious experience. Your standards are so high that a 90-point season feels like a failure. But here's the thing. You've earned it. You lived through Lemieux's cancer, the bankruptcy, the old Civic Arena. Now you're bougie with a banner collection. But deep down, you still get emotional when Sid touches the ice. Because you know what you've witnessed, and you're not ready for it to end. Chicago Blackhawks, energized. You were kings of the 2010s. 3 cups, dynasty talk. You had it all. Speed, skill, and a swagger that filled the United Center. Then, darkness, scandals, rock bottom. But now, you've got Bedard, the prodigy, the golden child. Suddenly, you're watching preseason games like it's the final. Because in Chicago, hope doesn't fade. It reloads. You're still one of the biggest markets in the league, and even when you suck, you sell out. You're not just rebuilding, you're rebooting the franchise like it's a blockbuster sequel. Dallas Stars, Southern swagger. You don't get the spotlight, but you bring the heat. You've got Robo, Miro, Ottinger, and a fan base that's half football brain, half hockey heart. You still talk about 99 like it was last week. You hate that nobody gives you credit, and you're fine with that. Because when the playoffs hit, you're fast, mean, and built for war. Texas hockey might sound weird until you hear 18,000 people screaming stars during the anthem. Then it gets real. Philadelphia Flyers, unhinged. You don't watch hockey. You live it, scream it, bleed it. Your team hasn't won since the 70s, and you still walk like you've got Broad Street bullies backing you up in the parking lot. You love fights, blocked shots, and growing a goatee in solidarity. You throw wristbands, boo Santa, and demand results, or blood. Your rebuilds last 5 minutes before the city starts burning again, but you're loyal, rabid, and no matter how bad things get, you'll be in the Wells Fargo Center yelling, "Let's go Flyers," like it's Game 7. Washington Capitals, Ovi obsessed. You waited forever. Then 2018 happened, and the entire city exhaled. You drank the fountains dry. You partied with OV like it was a national holiday. And honestly, you're still hungover. You know the cup window is closing, but you don't care. Because every game is a chance to see the greatest goal scorer in history do it again. You chant CAPS like it's gospel. You hate Pittsburgh. And deep down, you're terrified of life after number 8. But you ride until the end. Toronto Maple Leafs, delusional. Every year is your year until it's not. You talk about the 1967 Cup like it happened during your lunch break. You treat first-round exits like war crimes. But it doesn't matter. You'll be there next October, jersey on, parade route already planned. You had Austin, Mitch, and a roster full of highlight reels, and still couldn't get past round 1, until you did, briefly. Then you disappeared again. But you'll keep believing, because this time it's different, right? New York Islanders, grimy and proud. You're not flashy, you're not trendy. You're the Long Island Hammer to the Rangers Manhattan glam. You've got banners, a dynasty, and enough goalie drama to fill a Netflix series. UBS Arena is a fortress now, and when the aisles are rolling, the whole place shakes. You hate the Leafs, you hate the Rangers, you hate soft hockey. And when it's playoff time, nobody wants to see that navy and orange creeping into round 2. Columbus Blue Jackets, loyal through chaos. You've seen some things. Panarin gone, Bobrovsky gone, Tortorella meltdowns. And yet, you still show up in the 5th line, loud as hell. Your team is young, wild, and allergic to consistency. Your best playoff memory is sweeping Tampa. Your worst? Basically everything after. You've got cannon fire, passionate fans, and just enough promise to hurt again, but you won't quit. Columbus doesn't do fair weather, just frozen optimism. Colorado Avalanche, lucky. You're the cool kid who actually wins. You had Sakic and Forsberg. Now it's McKinnon and Makar. You play fast, hit hard, and look good doing it. Winning is part of the culture. Even your logo feels aggressive. You used to dominate in Quebec. Now you dominate in Denver. You don't talk much, because you don't need to. You've got a cup ring for every era, and you're still built to wreck people. Altitude? Check. Speed? Check. You're the storm rolling down from the Rockies, and the league knows when they see that maroon and blue, trouble's coming. Carolina Hurricanes, disrespected and dangerous. Nobody took you seriously. Then you started winning. Now nobody wants to play you. You've got the best storm surge since the 90s, and a fan base that tailgates like it's SEC football. You're loud, you're weird, you clap in sync, and you've got one of the deepest rosters in hockey, but still act like underdogs. You chirp Canadian media, you hate Boston, you demand respect, and honestly, you've earned it. Nashville Predators, rowdy. You turned Nashville into a hockey city with cowboy hats, catfish throws, and Broadway energy. Bridgestone is a bar with a rink in the middle. You love hits, hate refs, and scream "you suck" like it's a hymn. You made a cup final out of an 8 seed and a goalie mask into a cultural icon. Even when the team's average, you act like it's Game 7. And honestly, that makes you dangerous. You're not traditional, you're not quiet, you're Nashville. And you made hockey fun in a way no one saw coming. Los Angeles Kings, confident. You've got the Hollywood zip code, but you play like a team from the cold. You've got banners, a legacy, and that gritty 2012 Cup run tattooed in your mind. You chant "Go Kings Go" with movie star confidence. But you also love structure, defense, and playoff upsets. You're not the loudest fan base, but you're one of the hardest to shake. And when the Kings are rolling, that crown gets heavy for the rest of the league. New Jersey Devils, reborn. You were defense. You were traps. You were brodeur. 3 cups in a decade built on lockdown hockey and 0 apologies. Then came the darkness. Empty buildings, draft lotteries, Taylor Hall MVP season, but now you're fast, furious, and finally fun again. Jack Hughes skates like he's in a video game. The Rock is loud. The youth movement is terrifying. And you're not just back, you're ready to make Jersey nasty again. Just don't ask about your goaltending, please. Anaheim Ducks, the forgotten. You started as a Disney movie, literally. Then you got serious. You had Pronger, Niedermeyer, Getzlaff, Perry, and a cup to back it up. But since then, you've kind of faded into the California background. People forget about you, but you don't care. You've got one of the most fun young cores in the league, and a fan base that still remembers 2007 like it was yesterday. You chant, "Let's go Ducks," like it's gospel. And when you get good again, and you will, the league's gonna remember why they feared Anaheim. San Jose Sharks, tortured. You had everything. Jumbo Joe, Patty Marleau, Pavelski. You were always close, like Game 7 close. But somehow never close enough. You made Teal iconic. You made Shark Tank deafening. And yet, no cup. Every spring felt like this is the one, and every June ended in heartbreak. But here's the thing, you still show up. Even now, in full rebuild mode, rocking those retro jerseys and yelling for a team that's clearly tanking. You're not Fairweather. You're Finn Forever, Boston Bruins, obsessed. You act like every other fan base should apologize for not being Boston. You won in 11. You dominated regular seasons. You still brag about Kara like he's your cousin. You chirp like you're always on the power play. And when the team loses, it's not your fault. It's the refs, the ice, Mercury in retrograde. But credit where it's due. You care. Deeply. Emotionally. borderline violently. And if anyone slanders Bergeron, prepare for war. Vancouver Canucks, cursed. You're the hockey equivalent of almost. 2011, pain. Your city literally caught fire after Game 7. You've had legends, the Sedins, Luongo, Bure, and somehow still no cup. You've rebuilt more times than IKEA furniture, but you're still here. Loyal, loud, and absolutely ready to riot the second a goalie lets in a softie. You deserve a ring. You know it. The hockey gods just haven't replied to your texts yet. Edmonton Oilers, transcendent. You have the hockey gods on speed dial. You had Gretzky. You had Messier. 5 cups in 7 years. You don't talk about history. You are history. But that legacy is a double-edged skate blade. For years, you were the Titanic with Connor McDavid strapped to the bow. Generational talent, historic stats, first-round exits. You've seen it all. Bad defense, worse goaltending, and coaching changes, like it's a playlist on shuffle. But now, there's real fear when you take the ice. Because if McDavid and Leon ever go full Thanos, it's over, and you know it. Vegas Golden Knights, entitled. You came into the league like a toddler with a black card. Expansion team? Nah. You made the cup final in year 1 and never looked back. You've got a sword in your logo, a pregame show that looks like a Marvel film, and a fan base that thinks 5 years of success is suffering. You built a contender in record time, cycled through rosters like fantasy hockey, and still lifted the cup before 25 other teams. People hate you for it. That means it's working. New York Rangers, real sport fans. You've been through it all. The droughts, the heartbreak, the rebuilds dressed as rebrands. But you never folded. You show up to MSG like it's sacred ground. You respect the game, the players, the grind. You remember Messier's guarantee like it happened last night. You defended Hank like he was royalty. And now you rally behind every shift like it matters. Because to you, it does. You're not just fans of a team, you're lifers. You know hockey. You live hockey. You don't need fireworks or fairy tales, just 60 minutes of war and a shot at glory. Florida Panthers, awakened. For years, you were the punchline, the team with the rats, the empty seats, the weirdest playoff droughts. But now, you're dangerous. You've got Barkov, Kachuk, Bobrovsky going God mode, and suddenly you're a buzzsaw. You took down giants. You clawed through the playoffs like you had nothing to lose. And now, you won the Stanley Cups like it's nothing. And now, the bandwagon's full. But real fans, you were there when nobody else was. You wore red in a sea of tourists. And now you bark louder than anyone in Sunrise. The cats are out, and they're hungry. Detroit Red Wings, seen it all. You are hockey aristocracy. The winged wheel. The team with 11 cups and 1,000 legends. But the 25-season playoff streak ended, and suddenly you're rebuilding like a startup. But there's pride. Deep pride. You remember Yzerman as the captain, then the savior. You talk about Datsyuk like he was a myth. And even when the team is mid, the fan base is elite. You still sell out. You still chirp. And deep down, you know, Hockeytown isn't gone. It's just waiting to rise again. Seattle Kraken, ferocious. You're the newest kid on the block and already louder than half the league. You took year 2 and said, let's make noise. Now Climate Pledge Arena sounds like a spaceship full of pissed off orcas. You don't have a cup. You barely have history. But you've got vibes. You've got jerseys that slap, a fan base with way too much caffeine, and a team that plays like it's got nothing to lose. You might be new, but you're already impossible to ignore. And that scares people. Tampa Bay Lightning, swaggered. You used to be an afterthought. Now, you're the model. 2 cups, 4 finals, and more playoff games in 5 years than some franchises have in a lifetime. You've got Vasey, Hedman, Kucherov, a core that doesn't just win, it humbles. You wear flip-flops in January and still chant, "We want the cup," like you're from the 6X. You've got the skill of a juggernaut and the attitude of a team that remembers getting swept by Columbus. You built a dynasty in the shadows. And now, the league can't stop seeing lightning. St. Louis Blues, battle-tested. You waited 52 years. Then, you sang Gloria and lifted the cup like you'd done it forever. You don't forget the heartbreak before it either. You've got grit in your DNA, attitude in your hits, and a little chip on your shoulder ever since Binnington went nuclear. You're not a dynasty, but you're no fluke either. You're loud, proud, and perfectly content ruining someone else's playoff run. Buffalo Sabres, starved. You've been through 2 decades of darkness. No playoffs since flip phones were hot. And yet, you're still here, still chanting, still rocking the goat head like it never went out of style. You've seen rebuilds collapse, stars walk, and hope vanish like snow in April. But you don't quit. You're Buffalo. You tailgate in blizzards. You cheer for rookies like they're saviors. And when the Sabres finally rise, and they will, no one's going to enjoy it more than you, because this isn't just fandom, this is survival.